Corn is one of the most aggressively industrialized foods in the modern diet, and its transformation into ultra-processed forms represents a clear example of how a traditional staple can be reshaped into something that bears little resemblance to its original nutritional identity. In its whole form, corn is a complex plant food containing fiber, resistant starch, B vitamins, antioxidants such as lutein and zeaxanthin, and modest amounts of protein. However, the way corn is most commonly used today strips away nearly all of these protective components. Industrial processing breaks corn down into isolated fractions, sugars, oils, and starches, that are then recombined into thousands of ultra-processed products. This fragmentation is not accidental. It is driven by cost efficiency, long shelf life, and the ability to manipulate taste, texture, and metabolic impact with extreme precision. One of the most problematic transformations of corn is its conversion into high-fructose corn syrup. Through enzymatic processing, corn starch is broken down into glucose and then partially converted into fructose, creating a sweetener that is cheap, highly concentrated, and easy to blend into beverages, sauces, breads, cereals, and snacks. Unlike whole corn, which contains fiber that slows digestion, high-fructose corn syrup delivers sugar rapidly and directly to the liver. Excessive intake places a significant metabolic burden on the liver, promoting fat accumulation, insulin resistance, and elevated triglycerides. This process occurs silently and chronically, especially because corn-based sweeteners are hidden in foods that are not perceived as desserts, such as salad dressings, ketchup, yogurt, and packaged bread. Corn oil represents another major warning sign in corn's industrial journey. Extracted through high-heat processing and chemical solvents, corn oil is rich in omega-6 polyunsaturated fats. While omega-6 fats are essential in small amounts, the overwhelming dominance of corn oil in ultra-processed foods dramatically skews the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in modern diets. This imbalance is strongly associated with chronic low-grade inflammation, which underlies cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and some autoimmune conditions. Corn oil is also highly prone to oxidation, especially when heated during industrial frying. Oxidized seed oils generate harmful byproducts that can damage cell membranes and contribute to endothelial dysfunction, yet they are widely used because they are cheap and stable enough for mass production. Corn starch and its derivatives further illustrate how corn becomes a metabolic shortcut rather than a nourishing food. Corn starch is rapidly digested into glucose, causing sharp blood sugar spikes when consumed without fiber or protein. Modified corn starches are commonly used as thickeners and stabilizers in soups, sauces, frozen meals, and low-fat products. These additives improve texture and appearance, but add rapidly absorbable carbohydrates without satiety. Over time, frequent exposure to these refined starches can worsen glycemic control, increase hunger shortly after eating, and promote fat storage, especially when combined with sedentary lifestyles. Highly processed corn-based snack foods such as corn puffs, chips, and cereals are perhaps the most visible outcome of corn's industrialization. These products often begin with degermed cornmeal or corn flour, which has already lost much of its fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants. Extrusion cooking, a high-temperature, high-pressure process, further alters the starch structure, making it extremely fast-digesting. The result is a food that dissolves quickly in the mouth, delivers calories rapidly, and fails to trigger normal fullness signals. Flavorings, salt, and refined oils are then added to enhance palatability, creating a powerful combination that encourages overeating while providing minimal nutritional value. Another often overlooked concern is the pervasive presence of corn-derived ingredients across the entire ultra-processed food landscape. Corn appears not only as corn syrup or corn oil, but also as dextrose, maltodextrin, modified food starch, citric acid, and even some food colorings. This makes it difficult for consumers to recognize how much corn-based processing they are actually consuming. The cumulative effect is constant exposure to refined carbohydrates and industrial additives, even among individuals who believe they are limiting sugar or avoiding obvious junk food. This hidden ubiquity increases the risk of excessive calorie intake, metabolic strain, and nutrient displacement, where processed calories replace whole foods in the diet. From a broader health perspective, the dominance of ultra-processed corn reflects a food system optimized for yield and profit rather than human physiology. Corn is heavily subsidized, genetically standardized, and engineered for industrial uses rather than nutritional quality. This encourages overproduction and overconsumption, while traditional corn preparations such as nixtamalized maize, which improves mineral absorption and reduces anti-nutrients, are increasingly marginalized. When corn is stripped of its cultural and culinary context and reduced to industrial inputs, it shifts from being a nourishing staple to a driver of dietary excess and chronic disease. The central warning with corn is not that it must be avoided entirely, but that its modern forms are disproportionately represented in ultra-processed foods and disproportionately harmful when consumed frequently. Whole or traditionally prepared corn behaves very differently in the body compared to corn syrups, refined starches, and industrial oils. Recognizing how easily corn is fragmented, sweetened, refined, and hidden inside packaged foods is essential for protecting metabolic health. Without this awareness, corn quietly becomes one of the largest contributors to sugar overload, inflammatory fat intake, and ultra-processed calorie density in the modern diet.